Hello. Um, I'm on my phone this time because when I upload videos from my nice camera, it takes like hours and hours, and I'm really tired of doing that. And I think that it's kind of been acting as an inhibitor for me uploading more videos. So I'm gonna try and do easier and quicker and faster and everything to talk about stuff very interesting and fascinating and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try and talk about. There was a question um, about how I deal with. Let me just read it quick. um, where is it? If I notice much self doubt when I take on a new project that is challenging and might seem overwhelming. Um, Fyra Rossi says, I'm encountering lots of negative beliefs about myself and trying to engage socially in a playful way with another person in a therapeutic setting. Okay, so I guess being able to engage socially, just as friends, it sounds like, in a way that is like helpful to become more comfortable with socialization, I guess. And I feel like I'm apt to answer this because I went through, you know, some social issues. Now I would say it's kind of like several years ago. I'm 25 now. When I was in my early 20s and late teens and stuff, and growing up too, I had a lot of social anxieties and stuff. Um, and yeah, just anxieties about stuff in general. Definitely like life things, like challenges and stuff like that. Like can definitely relate with that, with self doubt and stuff. I still, these days when I go teaching and stuff, um, for example, these Spanish speaking Colombians who are trying to learn English. Um, well, they don't have as many sounds as English does, so they have to learn how to make a lot of them, and that is a very challenging process, especially for somebody who doesn't have any experience teaching that sort of thing like me. Um, and yet I'm the one most suited to teach it because I have a native, you know, uh, I'm a native speaker of English, so I know the sounds. Um, and I guess that was very self doubt inducing, because you know, I was being asked to do something that I'd never done before, that I had no idea if I would be able to do it or not. Um, but I have in the last couple weeks started in on like a lesson on like phonetics and the actual sounds of the language and stuff, and it's been coming off all right, so I guess it's sort of a lesson that I keep learning over and over again, that you know I I am more capable than my self-doubts tell me I am, that I can pull things off better than better than my self-consciousness will let me believe. And so, to get to the point where it's just sort of like this little thing that you sort of brush away and say like, whatever, I have the self-doubt, but I don't need it. I'm going to do the thing anyways. You just have to, I don't know, I feel like I've just pushed myself again and again in different circumstances and just said, well, Ryan, do you want to sit in your room and not socialize with people and play video games and like do that for your whole life? Or do you want to go out and do these things that the you underneath the social anxiety and underneath the self-doubt is like pleading to get out and go do? Like, are you going to let yourself go do those things? And when you decide that, yeah, I'm going to let myself go do those things, then you have to, you know, kind of, you just sort of, it's like jumping off of a really high diving board, jumping, going, um, doing any of those extreme sports, bungee jumping, going, buying a ticket to another country, and then going to that other country, like those big steps of like just like I'm gonna fucking do it because I decide that I want to do this, even if it's like I really want to go to this social gathering at the library in my town. Like if that's your jumping off the diving board, like that's where you start, and that's definitely where I started, like just socializing in small little things, like just going out and being like basically I am who I am, and if this fucks up and like this person decides they don't like me, like it'll be okay, you know. Um, so yeah, I mean, like life always feels overwhelming. Not always, but like life will always have moments where it feels overwhelming, is what I'm trying to say, I think. And so it's just a matter of how you deal with it, I think. I spent a lot of time thinking that the goal was to get to a point where negative feelings like sadness, self doubt, um, lack of belief, self belief and stuff like that. Thinking that just getting rid of that completely was the goal, but I find the more that I live, and the more that those things insist upon me, the more I learn that the real goal is learning how to properly manage those moments that come up of negativity or of self doubt and things like that, and sort of having a relationship with yourself, because yourself can be like your brain, your conscious self, and then there's like your nervous system and like these things that you can't control, like this anxiety that comes up, and you have to develop a friendship with it almost, rather than rejecting it and saying get away, you shouldn't be who I am, you know what I mean? Like it's better to say you are who I am, and as long as you just chill there and like just it's okay that you're anxious, but I'm gonna go do this thing and we're gonna do it anyways, and like just like sort of bargain with yourself, with your self-doubting self. That's what I have. I mean, that's how I would describe it. I don't know. Um, it's hard to give advice based on um, a paragraph of something, but I do feel like I don't know. Like I did have that, and now I don't as much. So it's nice. I still don't always want to go out. Sometimes I just stay in, but I'm comfortable with the fact that I'm staying in. You know what I mean? Because I've sort of bargained with myself, my anxious self, to say, like, I know that you want to stay in all the time because you don't like going out, Because I don't know, there's just a part of me that doesn't like going out, but there's a part of me that does. And so it's sort of like I've got these two halves of me that are making deals saying, we'll go out tonight, but tomorrow night we get to stay in, you know? Um, and also just like the longer I live, I mean, not to diminish the significance of relationships, but there are a lot of people out there, and if you fuck like one relationship up, you it's okay. It's just going to be a learning experience, because there's going to be somebody else that you can meet and have a new relationship with, if that relationship that you fucked up really is unsalvageable, or if you just choose not to salvage it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just sort of like I used to have all these fears of like fucking something up, like because I was never going to have something the same again. But there's a lot of amazing people out here in this whole world, and like you got to allow yourself to make mistakes, I think, is the thing. That's the thing about like self-doubt, I think, and having difficulty getting into social situations is for me at least it was the inability to allow myself to make mistakes, or to allow myself to be okay, to feel okay with making mistakes, you know. So I think that would be my main point about that, and that's going to be it for this video. Um, to say like if you have problems with self-doubt, overcoming challenges, in like work life or school life, or if you have self-doubt about social things, it's sort of whatever I just said is how I feel about it. Okay, I'm not going to recap, but cool. Bye.